Hello and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 10 team selection video with me, Holly Shand. I've been away for the international break, but back bringing you the content and 2 free transfers to unpick. A very special live stream coming at the end of the week on Friday as well. So make sure you like and subscribe and notify for that one. Link in the description. Let's get into it. Starting off with how my game week 9 is going. I'm recording this video on Sunday morning ahead of Aston Villa v West Ham and Spurs against Fulham. I've currently had 6 of my 11 play and I'm on 67 points, so really pleased with that. I rolled the free transfer going into game week 9. The rotation between my goalkeepers is doing really well. Flacken back in for Brentford with a 6-pointer. Newcastle United kept a clean sheet, 6-pointer from Burn as well. And Mbomo, who I mentioned could be on his final week in my squad, popped up with a 14-pointer with a goal and an assist. And looking at the fixtures, I think I'm happy now to give Mbomo a little bit longer because he's just got so many routes to points. He's got goal threat, he's got assist threat, he's on penalties, he's on other set pieces as well. Salah, should have captained him, gave him the vice captaincy. This could be the week, though, coming up where I do move away from that Haaland captaincy. 16-pointer from him with another brace. And then Alvarez and Haaland up front, both delivering goals. So it wasn't a disaster for the captaincy. No captaincy blank. And it looks like I got my bench sorted out. Eddie Howe playing games with us with Botman on 0 points and not available, having said he was in with a chance. Looks like he could be out for a couple of weeks now as well. Does cause a little bit of concern for me. One thing to be aware of when making transfers this midweek, particularly those not on a wild card, is that we do have a round of midweek European fixtures ahead of game week 10. 8 European sides in action. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we've got Champions League for United, Arsenal, Newcastle and Man City. And then on Thursday, we've got Europa League and Europa Conference League for West Ham, Brighton, Liverpool and Aston Villa. So we need to be mindful of that. Some tricky fixtures in there as well, particularly for the likes of Newcastle and Brighton. So unless you've got exact funds, I do recommend, if you're not on a wild card, to hold off making those transfers until at least Friday so that we have a clearer picture. I think for me, I will be making my moves on that charity stream on Friday. So I'm going into game week 10 then with 2 free transfers, 1.1 million in the bank. There are a few players on my watch list, particularly at Newcastle. I'm feeling at the moment the burn is not enough. Trippier has been so consistent in recent weeks. I think he's got 6 assists in his last 4 games, which is just crazy. Going without him is really punishing me. It's so difficult to own them all. Anthony Gordon, another Newcastle player who's caught my eye. He looks like the best investment from their attack at the moment when it comes to minutes, but obviously the midweek Champions League is a little bit of a challenge and the fixtures are kind of turning a little bit for Newcastle now. Wolves and Arsenal in the next 2, Chelsea and Manchester United also in the longer term schedule. It's not looking quite as good as it did a few weeks ago. I'd love to own Ollie Watkins as well. Obviously, I've not seen his game week 10 performance yet, but it's the game week 9 performance yet, but game week 10, Luton at home, followed by Forest away and Fulham at home. At the moment, I've got Diaby and Cash in the side. I'm on the fence of whether that is enough or not, but I'd have to lose one of Alvarez or Haaland to get him in. And while, you know, Watkins has the form, losing Alvarez seems like a bit of a compromise, even with the Manchester derby away next. Now, my team is looking a little bit weak in terms of its depth at the moment, so I am keen now to move Botman on because I don't think we're going to see him for another couple of weeks. We may not even see him until after the next international break. And, you know, when Archer and Burke are my other subs that are offering me absolutely nothing, it is a position I need to work on. And I know that if I don't buy Tsimikas now, I'm probably going to regret it. I've already seen a price rise up to 4.5 million. He did get an early substitution, so I will be keeping an eye on his midweek minutes before transferring him in. But crucially, did take 3 corners. So Szoboszlai does dominate on set pieces at Liverpool. That's made Trent a worse option, but keeping a clean sheet, having 2 nice fixtures up next, Forest and Luton, and being on some set piece involvement with corners, I think Tsimikas at 4.5 million is an absolute gem, and Liverpool's fixtures in the long term look really great as well. So as maybe the 12th man in the squad, but a player that's definitely going to start the next 2, I think it's now or never to bring him in and really capitalise. Now, the other player on my transfers out, and I am really loath to sell him because I've had him from game week 1 and he's been a brilliant servant for me, is Spurs' James Maddison. Now, I've got Son and Maddison in my team at the moment, and while that double up is looking nice short term, I think longer term there's probably better options elsewhere. Son playing out of position as a forward when fully fit on pens is formidable. So I think of the 2, Maddison is the more sensible sell. Now, I wouldn't sell Maddison lightly, but I think Saka is a bit of a must buy now. He's back fully fit. He's back in form. Sheffield United at home and Burnley at home in the next 3 game weeks. A really attractive run of fixtures for Arsenal, and it would be scary going into that game week 10 fixture without Saka in my squad. He's certainly in that captaincy conversation as well. Obviously, again, I'll be keeping an eye on how he does in Champions League in midweek in terms of minutes, having just come back from injury. But he's a player that I really want right now, so I'm happy to forego double Spurs attack to get Saka in. Obviously, if Son's little injury issue is still niggling him, then I could make the option to sell Son instead. But I think with the luxury of both being available, I think Maddison's the one to go for now. Now, I have put a lot of thought into these transfers, and they are difficult moves to make, but it has encouraged me that when I ran this through Fantasy Football Hub's AI transfers, very similar suggestion actually to sell Udogie for Tsimikas and Maddison for Saka. Now, the alternative move was to go from Botman to Tsimikas. So I think we're definitely in the right ballpark with these moves. Now, you can get your AI recommended transfers using the link in the description to this video. Now, this gave me a team rating of 98% and 94% going into game week 10 with 66.4 predicted points. So pretty happy with that. Goalkeeper rotations serving me well at the moment, and looking at Areola at home to Everton, he seems a far better pick this week than Flecken away at Chelsea. Bringing Tsimikas into the defence does give me a little bit of a benching headache of who to drop from Burn, Cash and Udogie. I think Cash is undroppable because of his attacking threat. Between Burn and Udogie, I think Newcastle have got the better clean sheet potential. There's not a lot to split them from an attacking perspective. So it's going to be a back line of Burn, Cash and Tsimikas with Udogie as first sub and Burke also on the bench. Now, the attack picks itself, Archer definitely a substitute player. So it's going to be a midfield with a reprieve for Mbomo. We've got Diaby for Luton at home. Son keeps his place. Saka comes in for Sheffield United at home, with Salah with Forest at home. Up front, still no place for Watkins. It's a double up on the City attackers, Haaland and Alvarez, away at Manchester United. A really difficult fixture to call right now, that one. When it comes to captaincy, there's a few names in the frame. Obviously, Haaland is always in the conversation. Manchester United away. I think if it was a home game, it'd be a lot easier to hand him the armband. Other options, we've got Son away at Crystal Palace, Saka at home to Sheffield United, and Salah at home to Nottingham Forest. Now, if Saka and Son hadn't had their recent injury issues, I feel like they'd be a lot easier to captain. But while they're still carrying knocks, particularly when they're vulnerable to early substitutions, it does put me off them a little bit. Obviously, we need to bear in mind midweek minutes as well. So I'm unlikely to fully lock in any captain decision until Friday once we've got the full picture, but right now I am leaning towards going with Salah captain at home to Nottingham Forest. He's been so consistent this season. He's on pens, he's got the home fixture. I think that's where I'm going to be going with the armband. It is subject to change though. I will be answering all comments on this video, so if you've got any dilemmas ahead of game week 10, drop them below and I will respond to them ahead of the deadline. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. Let's get this one to 500 likes, and that charity stream on Friday, a 6-hour marathon stream from the press conferences to the deadline, 12:30 to 6:30 UK time. All your support on that will be really appreciated. So the link for that is in the description to this video. You can access already, hit the notify button, it'll let you know when I'm live. Hopefully you can join me even for a short period in that stream. Thank you for watching.